Hello students, today we are here with our next lecture of life processes. In our previous video, we had talked about the different types of respiration as well as the different steps of cellular respiration. Clear? In this video, we will discuss about the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So, here is the difference. This one is the aerobic respiration and this one is the anaerobic respiration. The first and important difference is the respiration which takes place in the presence of oxygen is called as aerobic respiration, and the respiration which takes place in the absence of oxygen is called as anaerobic respiration. So this is the one important difference. It takes place in the presence of oxygen, and the anaerobic respiration is taking place in the absence of oxygen. When the respiration is taking place in the presence of oxygen, at that time the complete breakdown of glucose will take place. It means the glucose is completely oxidized and form CO2 and water, plus a large amount of energy is liberated. So here glucose is completely oxidized. It gets completely oxidized into carbon dioxide and water. In case of anaerobic respiration, the partial oxidation of food is taking place. So here the glucose is partially oxidized. Glucose is partially oxidized. Clear? The product is again the carbon dioxide and small amount of energy is there. In case of aerobic respiration, large amount of energy is liberated. That is about 38 ATP are liberated during the oxidation of one glucose molecule. And in case of anaerobic respiration, there is a very small amount of energy is going to liberate. Energy is liberated. These are the very important differences between the aerobic and anaerobic respiration. One more difference is that the aerobic respiration is completed in the cytoplasm and mitochondria of the cell. Next difference is this gets completed in the cytoplasm and mitochondria of the cell. Clear? And in case of anaerobic respiration, it gets completed only in the cytoplasm of the cell. Completed only in the cytoplasm of the cell. Clear? So these are the very much important differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. Now to come to the chemical equation of both of the respiration. First one is aerobic respiration. In this case, firstly the glucose molecule is break down into the pyruvic acid. This process takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. This is taking place in the cytoplasm of the cell and it is called as glycolysis. This is the common process in both of the type of respiration, in which the glucose is firstly oxidized in the form of pyruvic acid, and if the oxygen is available, so in presence of oxygen, this pyruvic acid will again break down into the form of CO2. The complete breakdown is taking place. CO2 and water is formed and the process is completed in the mitochondria of the cell. That's why the mitochondria is called as powerhouse of the cell. So this is the process in which the aerobic respiration is going to complete. First step is glycolysis, in which the glucose is break down into the pyruvic acid, or it is called as pyruvate, which is a 3-carbon containing compound. And if the oxygen is available in the organism's body, then this pyruvic acid will break down into the carbon dioxide and the water molecule gets liberated. This process gets completed in the mitochondria of the cell. Nextly, the anaerobic respiration. First step is the same, that is glucose is going to break down into the pyruvic acid. The process is completed in the cytoplasm of the cell again, and if the oxygen is not available, then this pyruvic acid again break down in the cytoplasm of the cell, and product formed is, 2 types of products are formed here. That is, first product is the ethanol and the second one is called as lactic acid, which is accumulated in the muscle cells of the human beings. And ethanol is also liberated, little bit amount of carbon dioxide is there and a very small amount of energy is liberated during the anaerobic respiration. This process is called as fermentation. 2 types of fermentation is there. That one is alcoholic fermentation, the process in which the ethanol is formed, that is called as alcoholic fermentation, and the process in which lactic acid is formed, that is called as lactic acid fermentation or the acid fermentation. Clear? So these are all about the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. First, again I will revise all the points. First one is aerobic respiration is going to take place in the presence of oxygen, and anaerobic respiration is going to takes place in the absence of oxygen. Second one is, in aerobic respiration, the complete breakdown of glucose takes place, or the glucose gets completely oxidized in the form of carbon dioxide and water, and a large amount of energy, about 38 ATP of energy is liberated during the process. And anaerobic respiration, in this type of respiration, the glucose is partially gets digested, glucose is partially gets oxidized, and a little bit amount of energy is released during the process. Third one is, in case of aerobic respiration, the amount of energy is large, and in case of anaerobic respiration, the amount of energy is low, or the small amount of energy is there. Next, the fourth important process, the aerobic respiration is going to complete in the cytoplasm and in the mitochondria of the cell, and the anaerobic respiration is going to completed in the cytoplasm only. Clear? Aerobic respiration is shown by all the higher organisms like human beings and other organisms, and the anaerobic respiration is shown by the microorganisms like yeast and bacteria. So in this type, example human beings and other higher animals, and in case of anaerobic respiration the examples are microorganisms like yeast. Clear? So this is all about the differences between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. In the next video we will discuss about the process of respiration in the plants. Thank you very much.